Welcome back to We Are TPM, where we wear pink on Wednesdays. This week we have a guest with us, Renae from Alabama Orange Beach Realtor, where this week's episode is. Why don't you tell us, Renae?
So we are going to be talking about investing in Alabama's Gulf Coast.
That is correct.
So, Kyle, I know everyone probably knows at this point, if they're listening to this, that this was my idea, right? Because everyone knows that this is my little special home away from home. I love this place. And Renae, I want to thank you for joining us and agreeing to do this with us. Renae is one of the most special people I've had a chance to work with and be friends with. Love her to death. And she has helped me in my endeavor, investing and learning about, enjoying, and then investing and starting to create wealth in Alabama Gulf Shores. So I messed that all up. It's not Alabama Gulf Shores. Okay. It's the Gulf Coast of Alabama.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it right,
You may
Kyle.
have mentioned this one a couple times in previous episodes, but yes, thank you for being with us, Renae Stringer.
So let's get into it. So Renae, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. And I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you and talk about the Alabama Gulf Coast.
I love it. And there is nobody better to do that but you, is there? I mean,
I appreciate that compliment. I agree with you. I do tend to agree.
So I hope everybody gets to enjoy there's just something special about that Alabama Southern drawl that you bring to the table. So I want you to bring that thick today. Okay, Renae?
It's just who I am, no pretending, no faking. It is me. And, John, you know this story, but I was born and raised here along the Alabama Gulf Coast. I've been selling real estate here for almost 20 years, and it is absolutely my passion. I get to help investors like you all the way across the board to the first-time home buyer, and hands down is my passion. Living here is a lifestyle for sure. I'm working from my home office. Can you hear my dog in the background barking?
I do, but I love that. Yeah. That's what everyone's doing nowadays.
He needs my attention. So if you guys could take over and give me 1 second, I apologize. Okay.
We got this. So Kyle, we've talked about, so part of this, I want to make sure as we introduce Renae and we talk a little bit about more about Orange Beach and what I love about Orange Beach. I want you to get, what is it that you've been able to spend a lot of time there with me? What appeals to you about Orange Beach?
It's definitely been an interesting experience because it wasn't something I knew about, and it's clearly not something everyone else knows about. Everyone thinks I'm going to Florida, and I'm like Alabama, and I'm
or
like,
California.
Well, technically,
right?
I'm going to Floribama, right? It's right there on the border of Florida and Alabama. So many people don't think of going to their beach vacation home and saying Alabama. They think Destin or something like that, right? Especially here. And it's only about an hour from Destin, so it's comparable. But my experience there has been very interesting. I think it's definitely got a different vibe than a lot of the beach places you go to, but it's a draw. You have friendly people everywhere. You got great vacation spots. You got a whole strip of these beach homes, right? And that brings in people from all over the place, like many vacation spots. But it's always nice who you get to meet and who you see during different seasons, because it's clearly a hidden gem that the people that know about it, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone that goes there has known about it and always goes there, it seems. So watching you become one of those people very quickly was what ties into that experience. So
it does seem like people that have been going there for years, if not decades, right? Like Orange Beach for a certain region of the country, and Renae could probably tell us what that region seems to be their go-to spot. Like, I don't know, if you lived in San Antonio or Austin, South Padre is kind of your go-to, spot. That's kind of what this part of Alabama is, right? But it's all part of that
I'd probably call
Gulf Coast.
I'd probably compare it to Corpus Christi a little more than South Padre, but
Oh, none of them hold a candle
No.
to what we're talking about. So, white sugar sand beaches, right? Renae, you back with us?
Yes, I am. Yes, thank you.
What?
I mean, everything that you guys have said, is so true. I mean, the sugar sand beaches, it's unlike anything that you guys have in Texas. We are a 32-mile stretch of sugar sand beach, and we are a hidden gem for those that have been coming here all their life, maybe vacation with their family growing up, all the way to, the newbies, if you will, they're just finding out about it. They fall in love with our area instantaneously. You talking about the regions, John, we have, we're so accessible. We are an easy drive is what we are. And it works for most families who are looking for a vacation destination.
Seems like I run into a lot of people from Montgomery, Memphis, right? I see.
Yes.
I've run into a lot of people from New Orleans. I come
Metairie, Louisiana. You talked about Corpus Christi. Even that distance, San Antonio. We're an easy drive or a direct flight in some cases.
Yeah, we fly into Pensacola. It's a 45-minute drive in from Pensacola. I think it's a little bit longer if you come into Memphis, right? But
or if the bridge is knocked down, that ties into that too. But
but what a great! I mean, I've just really grown to love the area. From the beaches, right, are just absolutely gorgeous. How much time I've spent at Floribama. I love that place. I love being on those backwaters on the boats. The fishing out there is incredible. There are things I haven't even touched yet in that place that I can't wait to get to. And that's what I was kind of hoping, Renae, that instead of me sitting here every week telling people about it, that we dive into a little bit this week. What is there to love about that whole area?
Everything. There is not one thing that you will not fall in love with. The lifestyle, number one. That's it. It's a lifestyle. The people, Kyle, you mentioned that, you've got, just a 32 mile stretch of beaches. You've got beach houses, condominiums, and it is not ever hardly a time in the peak season that we're not at 100% occupancy. And so you meet all walks of life and, people from all over who have come here, who have found out about our coast and saved all year long to bring their families here. So those are the people who generate a substantial income for you who may own an investment property here. It's pretty impressive. But going back to the things that you've not touched, John. You mentioned the backwaters. You mentioned the Floribama. Those are just a few of the things. I'll share a story. There's OA, which is in Foley. Kyle, you mentioned Foley. It's a little city in itself. It's a huge amusement park. Lots of shopping and dining and restaurants. There's just so much to do here and so many options for all walks of life, whether you're vacationing, just a group of friends, adults, whether you're vacationing with children who are young or old, there's lots to do. And not many people know about it. You think about the Gulf Coast and you think about Destin, Panama City Beach, things like that. And we have that beach. We have those condos, those beach homes, investment opportunities. We are not as commercialized as the Florida coast is. And so I think that's one of the things that sets us apart, not to mention, property taxes, things like that.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to say is it was interesting to me in my experiences there, how many staples you guys have that not only have a story and a history to them, but that like every local will push you to and tell you about. Like Floribama is the big one, but you got Pirates Cove, hearing how that's where the Bushwhacker was made, and became famous for and all that stuff. And that's just two. There's so many of those local staples in that area. And it's probably because of reasons like you mentioned. It's not as commercialized. It's more...
it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's got the lifestyle, and it's not looking to change those staples. It's just growing off them. And, there's more. There's the wharf. There's... a whole bunch of things I'm sure Renae could.
There's so much, Kyle. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We've got Lulu's, which is Lucy Buffett, Jimmy Buffett's sister. So much fun. And, we've got the Hangout, which hosts the Hangout Music Festival, which brings, people from all over our country, artists, gosh, we could go on and on and on. There's Tacky Jacks, that lifestyle is what it is.
And that's what's interesting is it's not just a whole bunch of commercialized tourist places like, here you go to this area, there's all this stuff. It's not like that. It's like these staples have been here long before it started becoming commercialized, and they're still a thing, and that's what everyone comes for, it seems.
One of the complaints I hear about, you mentioned Destin and Panama City, and I hear this from other people, and like those are beautiful places as well in Florida, and they have all the same stuff that you can find in Alabama. But what I hear is people get there and you really have to plan to not get around, right? You have to, it takes so long to get from one end of Destin to the other that you don't even want to get into a car. Like if you can't walk there, on an average weekend in July and August when it's really cranking, you don't want to waste the time because you're taking away time from the beach or whatever other activities you're doing there. I feel like Orange Beach has so much more going for it during the summer. So much more to do.
Yeah, and you can get around.
And Kyle, you're right. And you can get around. It's so funny that ALDOT, Alabama Department of Transportation, has put in so much work and effort into our highways and, stoplights and rerouting traffic so that the flow is as best as it can be, considering the amount of guests that we have in the peak season. Like I said, it's hardly ever that we are not at 100% occupancy. And so when you get that amount of people in those condominiums and those beach houses, it could become congested at some points. But the Department of Transportation has just done an incredible job, I should say, with directing. And they see the amount of traffic that flows into and on the island and off of at checkout. And kudos to them. A lot of construction has gone into, preserving the area and making it so that the guests have an enjoyable experience getting to and from, as well as the locals.
Yeah, and then you can have experiences like I did where you drive a slingshot from Foley to Gulf Shores, back to Orange Beach and all across without sitting in traffic and the normal experience. So
love it.
That's right.
Love it. So, you know what, Renae, let's talk a little bit about Kyle. Can we talk about our investing? Let's get into. That's
why we're here, right?
Yeah, let's
do it.
Let's get into, because I was really fortunate to, we didn't even talk about this, and we can maybe save this for another time, Renae, but I was really fortunate to meet Renae and get to know her and become friends with her. Renae, you and I probably talked about investing on the Alabama coast for maybe 5 years before I actually did it. That's probably not too far off of accurate, right?
That's pretty accurate. There was a lot of time that went into, me educating you about the opportunities. You are in real estate, so the back end of real estate, but you didn't know this market. And so it took, some in-depth conversations, some time, and just building a level of trust between you and I, so that you felt confident that I knew. And you felt confident and you knew that I was the right person to help you when the time was right.
Well, you know what, Renae, I don't think it had as much to do with that for me, to be honest with you, as it did just getting to learn Orange Beach and becoming as passionate as I am now about it. It didn't take very long, did it? It just took me getting out there, experiencing it, and getting my feet wet, and then starting this process that I want to go through of investing. So I want to talk about some of the results first. Let's get excited about the results and why you would want to do this. Because if you're listening to this, you're thinking, okay, yeah, but why do I want to do this, right? So I'm going to buy a condo, probably at least somewhat close to the beach, if not on the beach, right? I bought one. The first one we bought was a really great purchase, I think, and thanks to Renae and her connections on the beach in the oldest building I've come to learn on the beach. So I believe that building was the first condo building built on Orange Beach, and help me out, Renae, 1981?
It was
like
81.
That? There we go. Nice. And what gorgeous views this has. This building, I love the building. Absolutely love the grounds that it's on. I love sitting on that balcony and looking over those beaches and looking at the Gulf Coast is just gorgeous. There's just nothing better than that, really. And my experience since we've done that, I mean, we'll get into Hurricane Sally a little bit. We had a hurricane right in the middle of it all, right? But that thing was booked out previous to Hurricane Sally for 9 months, I think. We had that thing booked out.
Yeah, demand wasn't an issue and doesn't seem to be.
And it still isn't, is it? So we're doing things a lot differently now, post Sally, in how we book and how we price and all that stuff. But in a nutshell, what it's done is it's resulted in much higher rates, right? We're getting more demand, more rates there right now. And you know what? They're not building any more of them. I mean, they are building a few more of them, but they're not building them as fast enough for Renae, because she could probably sell them as fast as they built them. And we're just getting really, really good weekly rates there right now. During the summer, I've been seeing $4,000 to $6,000 a week.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
Yeah, you get it booked up. The price points are definitely there. So,
and what I've found looking at our calendar is it is full almost every single day, 100% occupancy for roughly the next 2 to 3 months going forward. So instead of having it booked out as far in advance as it was previous to Sally, now it's a little bit shorter term, which is actually increasing our revenue quite a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And then it's probably more interesting to know that it's a beach spot. You'd expect that during peak season, summer season, all that stuff. But we saw a lot of demand also during the winter and the fall season that was surprising. But it still brought in, and it's not the same revenues, but it brought in enough and to make it a year-long investment.
And we've talked about this quite a bit. We've talked about short-term rentals quite a bit and the amount of the return on investment. And Renae can speak to this. I know prices have been going up like crazy everywhere across the country, but I think Renae you can attest to the fact that they're really moving up quickly in your area, aren't they?
They really are, John. I have a referral from you that I'm actively working right now, and we just can't seem to get them in on anything that, fits their criteria because the strength of the market. Every time something hits the market that they're wanting to purchase, it's snatched up at an increased value from the prior unit that was available. There's a demand. There's no question about it. A huge demand. It's not just in our area. It is across the states. And, I even talked with some of the Canadians and, they're experiencing the same thing. But, there's a reason that those values are going up and, those properties are, immediately going under contract. People see the strength and the opportunity for the investment here. And it's strong. It's very, very strong.
Kyle, can we talk about some numbers? Let's get into some numbers, because one of the things I want to do with, on the heels of what Renae just shared with us, right, is I kind of want to demonstrate to people that, yeah, prices are going up and that may make it seem like your return on investment is lower, but is it really? I mean, if you're bringing in, what's our summer revenue? Let's have some fun and really put some numbers out there. What does our summer revenue look like at, let's go with our summer house investment.
per month, or you want me to just ballpark the whole summer? No.
No. Per month.
I have an idea.
You
I'm curious what Renee's idea is.
I have an idea, Kyle. So the week of 4th of July, what did your summer house unit generate?
I'm pretty sure it was $6,800 that week, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's in that range.
So that's just a week in July. Mm-hmm. So then if you look at the entire month of July, what were your numbers?
Somewhere in the 1,600 to 1,800 in revenues range. Yeah.
18,000.
18,000. Yeah. Let me add zero to that.
So that's kind of what I was thinking too. I mean, Kyle gets to see these sum totals at the end of the month, which is why I'm kind of leaning on him to give that to me. But that's what I'm seeing as well. And Renae, even during the winter months, and we call them off-peak months, we're still. I mean, it's not that much, but you know, it's at least half of that every month. And I guess my point is, if what you're trying to cover is expenses is normally a mortgage, right? Assuming you didn't pay cash for it, you're trying to cover mortgage insurance,
likely HOA dues and
HOA dues. Complexes. Those are your biggest things, and then possibly some utilities. You're going to cover that pretty quickly, aren't you? I mean,
you add in cleaning and some other operating costs, but those don't go or grow at near the same rate that revenue differential does. So
one of the things I like to do for my investors is just provide a cash flow analysis. Mm-hmm. And so that way they can have a breakdown of everything, you know, from the rental management fee to their annual utility cost, annual insurance, which is content liability, on top of their interest rates, their mortgage payments if they get a mortgage. And so then, I'm able to provide that to an investor, and then you can see bottom dollar what your profit and loss may be, which is super helpful. You're wanting to see those bottom figures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know what? It's not hard nowadays, right? We can go on Google and we can figure out. We can go and see exactly what these condos are going for, right? The one I'm referring to that we're using the numbers off of is probably roughly a $600,000 condo, Renae, wouldn't you say? Somewhere in that range, maybe a little bit more. Right now?
Yes. Six plus, yes.
6+ right now. So figure 600 to 650 to buy what I just described. Mm-hmm. And do some quick, mortgage calculation. What is that going to cost you, right? You can quickly find out what those HOA dues are, and you can see how much of an opportunity, just like Renae said, people are seeing how much opportunity there is, and that's why she's not having any trouble selling these when she gets them, right?
They're flying off the shelf for sure.
Mm-hmm. So
in most cases, when the listings become available, they are coming with the rentals that are booked, throughout the winter season, some into spring break of next year. People book in advance. Some people wait till last minute, but in most cases, these units are booked out months and months in advance.
Yeah, and a lot of factors that get involved in picking a vacation spot that you want to come to or invest in, right? And we're talking about pricing and revenues here because those things matter. Well, another interesting thing about that area was when the world takes a turn and vacations aren't happening as much, what are areas where they're still happening or allowed to happen or not as closed down for reasons that we don't really need to go into. But Orange Beach, Alabama seemed to be one of the hottest markets for those considerations.
Seems like Kyle is skirting right around the fact that Alabama was COVID friendly.
Yeah, without saying it like that. Yeah, but you were able to generate revenues when some other places, aka the world, wasn't. So
we did really good during COVID, right? And again, we had a hurricane, and even despite the hurricane, I think we did pretty well. You know what? Renae, let's talk about the hurricane a little bit. Let's get that elephant in the room right out of the way. Tell us about Hurricane Sally, your perspective on Hurricane Sally.
Okay, so born and raised here on the Alabama Gulf Coast, and Sally was one that affected us. There's no question about it. Affected some buildings more than others, but you have a homeowners association for a reason, and they carry insurance on your building. You also carry content and liability insurance, and in most cases, you have loss of rental income policy. And so that helps you when and if your building is compromised and you can't generate a rental income. If you are solely relying on that income to pay your mortgage payment, to pay your cost of owning it, then you've got that insurance that's helpful. Gosh, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's the price you pay to live along the Alabama Gulf Coast. Our 32-mile stretch, what are the odds that, our coast is going to be hit by one? It's happened. I mean, and it's happened a few times, since I've lived here. We had Ivan. We've had, a couple small ones, and then we had Sally, and, she was a bitch. She was. Nobody liked her.
Nobody liked
I'm
Sally.
sorry.
Huh?
No, nobody liked Sally.
So it was hard to get rid of Sally.
Surprise.
She stuck around a little too long, didn't she?
Well, she took us by surprise. We have different categories, and she was not a large category, but she hung out for a little while, longer than she was welcome.
Awesome.
And she did a little bit of damage, but we are resilient, and we rebuild, and we come back, and it never fails. Anytime we've had a storm that has affected our coast, the publicity brings more investment and more people. They learn about our coast, and, either it be a buyer. Let me start. Either it be a seller who wants to sell at top dollar, which increases values for you, John, in your building, whether it be a buyer who purchases at that top dollar, which increases value in your building, or whether it be a renter who did not know about our area, who decides to come on vacation, which helps you generate a rental income, or whether it be a repeat referral rental who comes back, it helps you with your rental. So it's strong all the way around. No matter how you look at it, it's strong.
I love it. So what I hope that people get from this is so there may be a fear out there, right? If you're thinking about investing anywhere near the Gulf, right, where Florida, the southern tip of Florida, there's a large part of the world that has to worry about hurricanes on a regular basis. So if you're thinking, man, I don't want to get hit, with a hurricane like they did last year, it could happen at any time, first of all, right? But it's not that bad. Ivan was pretty bad, wasn't it, Renae? I mean, I've heard stories about Ivan. It was so much worse than Sally, and y'all still came back from it. I mean,
oh yeah,
I was in Orange Beach 3-4 weeks after Sally, and I was there almost every month following that, and I got to watch the progress and how quickly that whole area bounced back from that. It was amazing.
I was going to say, so the media makes things out to be more than what they are. Obviously, I'm boots on the ground here. I see it, and Ivan, absolutely affected us. But then, we rebuilt and we did what we had to do. We were up and running in no time, depending on the building and, the amount of damage. But, a lot of the buildings were back up and running and generating that rental income in no time. And then we went a long stretch between storms that really affected us, so that the buildings were, compromised and shut down, if you will. Between Ivan and Sally, those have been the two storms. Prior to Ivan was Frederick. And so there were many, many years in between those storms. And, nobody really wants to talk about hurricanes. No. Nobody does. It's not a word I even like to use. I prefer to use the word storm versus hurricane. It's just, what I've been raised, to do here on the coast. But it is part of our life, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So you just prepare for that. That's what you do. It's a lifestyle, same as the boating, the backwaters, the Floribama, it is a lifestyle here.
It's one of those factors, and like any investment, there's risks involved, and at least that one, right? And like you said, insurance protects it, proper insurance protects it, which isn't always the case. And at least at least we know when like things like Sally hit, it's really the insurance company taking the big hit, not necessarily your investment if you're protected, because there's other random things that could happen anywhere, right? Like winter storm hitting Texas and not having freeze insurance, right?
I mean, exactly. This stuff happens everywhere. It's just a little bit more predictable that once every 22 years or something, you're going to get a hurricane on the coast, right?
Yeah, risk reward, and reward that can outweigh that risk for sure. So
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
All right, let's talk about more fun stuff. How's that, Renae? You want to talk about something a little bit more fun? So,
I do. Yes.
I enjoyed Orange Beach so much. Renae presented another opportunity to me, and I bought something that I absolutely cherish, this little spot in your part of the world on Old River. Let's talk about this. I mean, I'm a mile away from Floribama, which I already love that, right? So already tell me I'm a mile away from Floribama. I pretty much already signed in the contract, right? But God, what a peaceful spot on that balcony, sitting there watching the world go by on boats and watching people soak up the sun and have fun. I just absolutely love sitting on that balcony just as much as I love my other one.
Yeah, it's a slice of paradise. Is what it is. And don't forget, you're across Old River from Britney Spears' house.
Yeah, and I think the Old River part's interesting because it has that lake river feel that some people don't like being out in the open ocean. Well, I mean, right on the other side of that, you have Old River that is like being in a lake, like if you're out here in Texas. I mean, you're still in the ocean, but it doesn't feel like that, and psychological factors definitely matter to people.
Exactly. So you're right across the highway from the Gulf, right? You could see it. You walk outside, you got beautiful views of the Gulf, but you've got the peacefulness of the backwaters, right? And you don't have all the waves and whatever else you're concerned or fearful of that's in the ocean. It just makes you feel like you have less of that going on. Riptides, all that good stuff, right? It's the backwaters.
Yeah, and you can go to a lot of places on a boat. You know, you can travel to all of the hot spots for the most part on a boat, which people love.
Restaurants and bars.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How much do we love going to Pirates Cove, Renae?
A lot, often actually. So I'll never forget, John comes over, he's ready to invest, and, his ideal investment is direct Gulf front. And that's where he settled, was a direct Gulf front unit. And for me, knowing the area like I do, the backwaters, that's the place to be. It's where, the activity is, it's all the waterfront dining, the backwaters. And so I, sold that to John. And that is what helped him, realize this gem of a location that he settled at with his second investment was where he wanted to be. It's incredible how many memories we've made on those backwaters and how much fun we've had. John sits across a river that's probably, and please don't quote me on this, Old River's probably, what would you say, 50 foot wide between your building that is on the north side of the beach road and Ono Island on the other side of Old River.
Probably 50 yards, but that was...
thanks for helping me out there. So, depending on the tide, you've got the sandbars where you can pull your jet ski up, you can drop anchor, you can float and drift out in Old River. And it's an experience in itself. It's a lifestyle. You can sit on John's balcony and watch the dolphins swim through Old River. Yes. It is
one of the best things to do.
It's stunning. It is stunning.
As a matter of fact, y'all, if you've never been there, you could do that from almost any room in either one of my investments. You can look out and see dolphins at any given point, right? I can be in my kitchen at Summer House and look up and watch dolphins going by. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're so plentiful there, and there's nothing more heartwarming than watching dolphins for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Well, I'm sure you guys can talk about that for all day. But
all right, let's get back to investing.
What we need to do to invest in Orange Beach, right? So we're talking about vacation homes, right? And there's a piece of requirements on buying vacation home, they can actually give you some benefits, which is the lesser requirement for down payment, right? Which can be taken advantage of.
Yeah, some people don't do this to do it the way we do it, right, Kyle? Like some people just want to buy a vacation home that they can use. Maybe they rent it out from time to time, but for the most part, it's more of a second home for them, right? And then some people are looking at it more as an investment and doing it more like what we're doing, right? Looking at their return on investment, and so depending on what you do is going to kind of depend on if you're going to get financing, what kind of financing you're going to get. I think that's where you're going with that, right, Kyle? On these second home loans, we can do 10% down, right?
Versus a 20% you would normally expect if you were targeting something like this.
Exactly.
So where are you at, Renae? Tell everybody where your office is and where your hub is.
I am Remax of Orange Beach, and I am directly across the street from the beach in Orange Beach, just down the street from the Perdido Pass. Stunning location. My office is in Orange Beach, but I service the entire Alabama Gulf Coast. So whether you are wanting to have an Airbnb in Foley, which is, just an incredible experience in itself, north of the beach, whether you want to invest in Gulf Shores, the Fort Morgan area, or Orange Beach, I can help. There's no question about it.
So what's that process look like, Renae? I've got a client. You're helping somebody right now. I've got a client. They're like, okay, I'm ready. I've got money. I'm pre-qualified, ready to go. What's that process look like? How are we doing it?
Having a conversation with me, letting me know, helping me understand your criteria. What is it that's going to work for you and your family? What's going to work for your portfolio? That conversation so that I can have a clear understanding of what it is that's going to work for you. And then we move forward from there, just to watch the market, watch the properties that become available that fit within your criteria, and then being ready to move on it when it does become available. Because when it becomes available, it's gonna go. I mean, someone's gonna make an offer on it. It's incredible how quick that happens. And right now we're seeing a lot of people have their feelings hurt because they didn't act on it as quickly as they should have, and they missed out. So they're just on the fence waiting for the right opportunity. That's what it looks like. Just having that relationship established with someone that you can trust to help you. That's what it looks like.
So a couple of things I want to mention. Kyle, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
No, but if we spiked anybody's interest, like how would they contact you, Renae, since you're clearly the expert? I mean,
I appreciate that, Kyle. So my cell number is 251-752-0233. You can call or text me anytime. My website is renaestringer.com. You can message me directly through there. I'm Orange Beach Renae on social media. Orange Beach Renae. That's me. And you can Google me, Renae Stringer, Orange Beach. I'm everywhere. Been in this market almost 20 years. I know what I'm doing, and I care about my people, and 100% relationship over transaction. So you're in good hands with me.
So if you reach out to Renae, if you reach out to Renae and you tell her that you learned about her in Orange Beach on We Are TPM on the podcast, or from me or Kyle had told you about it, there's a special treat in there for you. So make sure you tell Renae about that so that you can get a special treat that from both of us, right, Renae?
That's right. Absolutely. And, John, if they forget to tell me up front, in my due diligence and understanding who they are and where they're from and what brought them to me, I always get to the bottom of that. So, we'll get to that and figure out that they may have, heard us on the podcast, or they may have seen you in the grocery store, or
I love it.
We'll get to the bottom of it for sure.
I love it. So, Renae, I want to talk. Okay, so that's how they're going to reach out to you. They're going to act fast. They're going to be, quick to move and close on something, right? And one of the things we didn't talk about was, I feel like this is the norm there, that when you buy something, typically you buy it furnished, right? So there aren't too many units that are vacant and unfurnished at this point. Is that pretty true?
Yeah, that's traditional. So the way that we write our offers is that the unit or that home is to convey as we've seen it, as it's marketed and advertised, with all the furnishings, fixtures, accessories, appliances, down to the linens, are to convey with the sale, because you want that unit or that home turnkey. And that way you never miss a beat. You're there generating a substantial income. And you have to do nothing in most cases, unless it's your preference and you want to, upgrade, maybe hang a new, decor on the wall, something like that. But everything is turnkey here.
Yeah. And I bought 2 from you, and in both cases, that's exactly how you negotiated it for me. I was literally able to continue renting the property the way it was. And like you said, there are things that maybe I wanted to change and do differently. And there were things that we did differently and updated and so forth. But I didn't have to. It was ready to go. They had the plates. They had the coffee mugs, the coffee maker there, all the linens, everything ready to go.
Which just makes it huge on an investment, because it's a lot of investing is considering the upfront costs. And if you're trying to rent this place out and you got to fill it, furnish it, all that stuff after your initial upfront costs, that definitely changes the consideration, where here you're just acquiring the property. So,
and time,
it's a huge benefit. Yeah,
not
time,
just expense,
headache,
but the time,
resources, all of it. So somebody's already done that due diligence for you, unless you want to add to it, which you have the freedoms to, of course, because you bought it.
That's right.
Right. So, all right. So, so we've talked a little bit about return on investment and what that looks like, what that process looks like. How can we help them, Kyle? So, like, going forward,
well, we can help them do what we just talked about, creating that experience for yourself, but also creating the investment experience we just described by helping you make these revenues and generating income off of your vacation home, if that's what you want to do, and tailor that experience for you. Because we do manage, we've talked a lot about short-term rentals and how we manage them. We manage them there as well. So it's something we could help anybody do, whether you get it through Renae and manage it, and we help you make money off of it, or however you want to do that. We're here to help.
Buy a vacation rental from Renae and let John and Kyle manage it for you. That's what I just heard.
It's a perfect partnership there. Perfect.
I love it.
I know what I'm doing here in Orange Beach. Those guys know what they're doing from a rental management standpoint. It's a win-win for an investor, for sure.
Well, I love it. Thank you for saying that. I want to bring up one other thing, Kyle, that we've done. And we put together a partnership, and that's something that we can do for other people. So there's a lot of other people out there that might be thinking or have thought in the past that I'd like to do this, can't do it myself, would like to do it with my parents, with my brother, with my best friend, what have you. We actually have the mechanism to help put that partnership together, maybe even build that LLC for you and make it an official partnership, right? And create kind of a portfolio, an investment portfolio that you can see and that all the partners can see their piece of that portfolio, just like you would any other investment, right?
Yeah. We manage the investment for you, track it, all that, while we're managing your home. So that's kind of an added thing we can offer you. And if that interests you, you just got to let us know, and let your partners let us know as well.
I love it. Renae, you have been so helpful in presenting your beautiful area to everybody and sharing it with us. I knew that you would be able to I know that you love it there so much that you would be able to sell it exactly the way that it needs to be sold, with that passion.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to, share a little bit about our piece of paradise. And I'm always here. I'm always happy to help. You know that. I'm passionate about what I do. Like I said, I care about my people, and always, always, always that relationship over that transaction. So call me. I'm here. I can help.
I love it, Renae. I'm going to see you in 4 weeks. I'm looking forward to it.
And thank you for joining us today, Renae. We really appreciate having you here.
Good to talk to you too, Kyle. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you soon, okay?
You want to close us out, Kyle?
Yeah, let's do it. Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to this week's episode. We are TPM. If you have any questions or you want to send us questions on any of this or portfolio that you want answers on, really anything you want to hear, you can shoot us an email at showmethemoney@wearetpm.com, or you can always give us a call. Numbers all over the place, but 817-818-9039 will get you to pretty much any of us. Thanks you guys for tuning in, and see you in the next one.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Bye, Renae.